Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story unfolds in the heart of Eastern Europe, where Belarus, one of Russia's closest allies, is standing at the brink of total collapse. In what many are calling the most significant internal crisis since its independence, reports are emerging that the Belarusian military has seized several key bases, signaling what could be the end of Alexander Lukashenko's decades-long grip on power. The situation is fluid, tense, and could redefine the balance of power across the region. According to multiple sources inside Belarus, a faction within the country's armed forces has taken control of several major installations, including key air bases and communication hubs. These locations are not just military strongholds, they are the backbone of Belarus's national security infrastructure. Troops loyal to Lukashenko are reportedly clashing with rebel elements in and around Minsk, the capital, as the government scrambles to contain the uprising. For nearly 3 decades, Alexander Lukashenko has ruled Belarus with an iron fist, often called Europe's last dictator. His regime has survived mass protests, international sanctions, and diplomatic isolation, largely thanks to Moscow's backing. But this time, the challenge appears to come from within. Discontent among the ranks has been simmering for years, especially after the disputed 2020 elections, when thousands of Belarusian soldiers and police officers quietly expressed anger over the violent crackdown on protesters. Now, that anger seems to have reached a breaking point. Sources close to the situation suggest that a coalition of mid-ranking officers, disillusioned by corruption and what they describe as Lukashenko's blind obedience to Vladimir Putin, began coordinating a covert operation months ago. Their goal, reportedly, was to restore sovereignty and prevent Belarus from being completely absorbed into Russia's orbit. These officers are said to have planned their moves carefully, targeting bases that store advanced Russian-supplied equipment and command, centers that control communication lines between Belarus and Moscow. What makes this situation even more explosive is that Belarus has served as a critical platform for Russian military operations in Ukraine. Russian forces have used Belarusian territory to launch air and missile strikes, while Minsk has allowed the Kremlin to deploy troops along the border. If these rebel units now control key military bases, they could effectively cut off or disrupt Russia's northern logistics corridor. That would be a massive strategic setback for Putin's war effort. Meanwhile, Lukashenko himself is reportedly in a highly fortified location, surrounded by loyal guards and Russian advisors. His government has declared a state of emergency, sealing the country's borders and blocking internet access across major cities. Opposition groups, both within Belarus and abroad, are calling this moment the final chapter of Lukashenko's rule. Exiled opposition leader Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya released a statement urging the international community to support what she called Belarus's fight for freedom from dictatorship and foreign control. However, Moscow's reaction could determine how far this uprising goes. Putin has long viewed Belarus as a strategic buffer between Russia and NATO. Losing control of Minsk would not only be a geopolitical embarrassment, but a direct threat to Russia's influence in Eastern Europe. According to sources from Russian state media, the Kremlin has placed rapid response forces on alert and may be preparing to send peacekeeping units to stabilize the situation. Analysts say this could quickly evolve into another hybrid operation, where Moscow intervenes under the guise of assistance, but effectively takes over Belarusian command structures. Western governments are watching closely. NATO intelligence reports suggest increased movement along the Belarus-Poland border, with both sides on heightened alert. The European Union has convened emergency talks to assess the potential fallout. If Belarus collapses into chaos or civil conflict, the impact could spill across borders, triggering refugee flows, disrupting regional trade, and heightening security tensions across Eastern Europe. Inside Belarus, ordinary citizens are caught between fear and hope. Videos posted on encrypted channels show civilians gathering in small groups, some waving the historic red and white flag banned by Lukashenko's regime. Others are fleeing major cities, afraid of an imminent crackdown or Russian intervention. In many towns, police forces appear divided, some joining the military rebels, others clinging to loyalty out of fear or desperation. Analysts say this rebellion marks the culmination of years of pent-up frustration. The Belarusian economy has been suffocating under sanctions, inflation, and widespread unemployment. Lukashenko's refusal to step aside or reform the system has left even loyal elites questioning his leadership. Many observers now describe the situation as eerily similar to the final days of other collapsing regimes, when internal divisions, economic pressure, and loss of legitimacy converge into an unstoppable wave. There are also reports that parts of the Belarusian Air Force have refused orders to take off, fearing that they might be ordered to strike their own compatriots. Several pilots reportedly defected, flying into neighboring countries to avoid being forced into combat against fellow Belarusians. This kind of open defiance within the armed forces is unprecedented and could be the turning point that decides whether Lukashenko survives or falls. International reactions are mixed. While Western powers express cautious optimism about the possibility of democratic change, they are wary of the chaos that could follow. Ukraine, for example, has increased border security, fearing that Russian forces could use the instability as an excuse to move more troops northward. Poland and Lithuania have begun coordinating humanitarian corridors in case of mass civilian displacement. Meanwhile, China has issued a neutral statement urging stability, reflecting its cautious approach to internal crises in allied states. The central question now is whether Lukashenko can hold on without direct Russian military support. His security apparatus has been loyal but overstretched. If the rebellion spreads to more regions and key commanders switch sides, the balance could tip quickly. Observers recall how similar revolts unfolded in other post-Soviet states. First, small acts of defiance, then entire units joining the uprising, until the regime simply implodes under its own weight. For Russia, this is an unfolding nightmare. A military mutiny in Belarus threatens to unravel years of political engineering, designed to keep Minsk firmly under Moscow's thumb. If Belarus slips away, even partially, it could embolden other Russian allies or occupied territories to question Kremlin dominance. And for Putin, already under immense strain from the war in Ukraine and economic isolation, a second front of instability could be catastrophic. In the coming days, the world will be watching for signs of escalation. Will Lukashenko order a full-scale crackdown? Will Russia intervene militarily, risking direct confrontation with NATO borders nearby? Or will this rebellion evolve into a negotiated transition, possibly ending one of Europe's longest-running dictatorships? For now, Belarus stands on a knife's edge, its future uncertain, its leadership isolated, and its people caught in the storm of history. Whether this becomes a fleeting mutiny or the dawn of a new era will depend on what happens in the next few critical days. One thing is certain: the collapse of Lukashenko's control would mark a seismic shift in Eastern Europe, one that could redefine the region's power map for years to come. That's all for today's update. We'll continue monitoring developments closely as more details emerge from inside Belarus. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more in-depth analysis on this rapidly evolving situation.